We told you Harry Reid said that he will not be putting the assault weapons ban in the final bill, the real bill that they're going to vote on. They might do a cutesy little amendment vote, but that's irrelevant. That's obviously going to fail. It's not in the bill that they're actually trying to pass and spend political capital on. In fact, he said this about Dianne Feinstein's assault weapons ban.
It's been very clear the Republicans want us to have bills coming to the floor that have gone through committee. My job is to find one of those that I can bring to the floor, or two of them, but at least have been through the committee, and that I can get 60 votes to proceed to that.
So nothing I could do, nothing, no, sorry, can't do it. In fact, the high capacity magazine ban also is going to be stripped out of the bill, leaving us with very, very little. In fact, they might even strip out the background checks, which then leaves no gun control at all. It's a joke. Michael Moore goes on Piers Morgan and decided, well, you know what? He's going to say some pretty strong words about it. Watch out. Here he comes.
It did cross my mind how many of these senators who, in my view, probably do think there should be an assault weapons ban, probably do think there should be universal background checks, but they have decided to go against their principle to protect their political seats. How many would change if one of their kids had been in that Sandy Hook school?
I think we all know the answer to that question. If a man with an assault weapon goes into the school where Harry Reid's grandchildren go to school tomorrow and kills his grandchildren, what would he stand in front of that microphone at 5 o'clock and say, I know how Diane, had to witness the mayor getting murdered, but my grandchildren just got killed today, but, we can't get it passed because we just don't have the votes. Would he do that really? I don't think so.
Well, I agree and disagree in parts. If you know Harry Reid really well, he might. So don't underestimate the weakness of Harry Reid. Now, look, the parts that I agree with in this statement, would Harry Reid be a lot more emotionally invested and try much harder if it had personally affected him? The obvious answer is yes. So Michael Moore is telling the truth there. Now, as I said, because of his historic weakness, he might not be able to get it done anyway. And then some people say you can't personalize things like this. That's not right. I totally disagree with that. I think you can personalize political issues. In fact, you should personalize political issues, because oftentimes the politicians say, oh, no, different rules for me and you. So Rick Santorum says there should be tort reform and medical tort reform, and the cap should be $250,000. His wife gets hurt. He says, no, I want $500,000. Why? The rules don't apply to me. Rob Portman just came out and said, well, before when I thought other people were gay, I was against them. But now that I found out that my son is gay, all of a sudden I'm in favor of gay marriage. Well, when it affects you personally, all of a sudden you have a different view on it. And that's what Michael Moore is saying. Now, if it affected Harry Reid personally, he might have a different view. In fact, his reference to Dianne Feinstein is exactly what happened to her. She saw Harvey Milk and another person that was shot dead in her own office, or in their office together, and she discovered that, and that has affected her ever since, and she wants gun control. Now, Dianne Feinstein is actually a very conservative Democrat in other ways, but on that issue, she's a real progressive. Why? Because it affected her personally. So Michael Moore is right about that. Now, do I disagree in parts? Yes. And did I think that he went a little too far? Yes. Now, why? This is not like any other issue. When you say if Harry Reid's grandkids were murdered or shot dead, well, that's not, hey, well, how would the budget cuts affect you, or how would tort reform affect you? That's very graphic, and I'm afraid that it might put thoughts in people's minds. That's not what Michael Moore intended, and I'm sure if you asked him that, he'd say, oh, hell no, right? And you can judge for yourself what you thought of Michael Moore's statements. All I'm saying is that I wouldn't have said that, because on that particular issue, it's a dangerous thing to do, to personalize it, right? Because we don't want any harm to come to anybody. So obviously. And I know that he didn't mean it that way. But I wouldn't have said it in that way, and that's why when I watched it, I said, damn, that was really harsh. But on the other hand, understand why he did it, and don't believe the hype about arguments that, oh, you shouldn't personally make these issues about the politicians. No, oftentimes they make decisions where they don't give a damn about us, and if it affected them, they would change their mind completely. So that is fair. I just wouldn't have done it on this issue because of the nature of the issue.